Hey there, greetings and salutations. I hope everyone is doing as healthy and as well as they can be during this time. And I am here today to talk about a few things that are going on astrologically that I think are important to discuss, and hopefully I can bring some knowledge about these things to the collective here. So let's get right into it, and we're going to talk about Capricorn a little bit. We're going to talk about Mercury transiting Capricorn. And that just means the movement of Mercury through the sign. We're going to talk about Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. We're going to talk about Mercury square to Chiron in Aries, Mercury's aspects to the lunar nodes, South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, the trine aspect of Mercury and Uranus. We're going to talk a little bit about Mars stationing direct, as well as Jupiter transiting Aries. All right, so let's just jump right into this. So we have the sign of the month, and that is Capricorn. Capricorn rules the 10th house, and it is about our material necessities that help us support the 4th house, which is the house of our family, our upbringing, our home life. So Capricorn represents the outside world, all the things that are outside of the home, for us to use, and when I mean use, I mean to use like a tool, like resources, things that put us in touch with our material necessities. So we have Mercury, which is our communication, transference. It is the way we communicate. And when Mercury is transiting a sign, it kind of takes on the communication style of that sign. And with Capricorn being a cardinal earth sign, it is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn also, as ruler of Capricorn, is the reason why the sign relates to our material necessities. That is one of the things that Saturn oversees. So when we have Mercury transiting Capricorn, we have our communication as a focus of our material necessities, the things that we need to harmonize our material necessities, and how we're going to get those, and the way that we communicate those needs, the way that we communicate, the type of medium that we use for communication, the mannerism of our communication. These are all the things that Mercury touches on while it's transiting each sign. So with Capricorn, we have an emphasis on forward motion because it's a cardinal sign. It's about bringing those resources into availability and using them to their full advantage. It is very resourceful, so it wants to get all the bang for the bucks. So it's about getting that last drop about of all of our effort, reaping as much reward as we can for our effort. And so when Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn, it is especially frustrating because we have to take a step back, and taking a step back is not necessarily something that Saturn wants to do, especially in Capricorn, with it being in that cardinal energy. We want to go, we want to make that forward progress, but our communication just is not quite there. It's not quite where it should be. There's something that is delayed. There is something that is, with Mercury, it could be paperwork. It could be our travel, our method of travel suddenly just becomes unavailable, or there's a disturbance with our travel routine, or, communications breakdown. We can't secure the resources that we need, the materials that we need, because we either can't communicate, or there's a disturbance, or there's a misunderstanding. So this is a very frustrating placement for Mercury to be in this sign. And so now let's come down here to Aries, and we have Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries. And Aries, as the ruler of the first house, this symbolizes our subjective experience, our subjective view of our world and our place in the world, and where we fit into that picture, and the mindset that shapes our view of the world and our subjective experience within it. So with Chiron here being the wounded healer, we have a wound that is coming up with our mentality. There is something that has wounded our mentality, that is causing an internal struggle. Okay, so we have a wound in our mentality that's causing an internal struggle with our ability to communicate, and it's being further frustrated by this retrograde motion of Mercury. All right, so this is going to be happening for most of the month. So this is going to bring a lot of difficulties with a square, meaning an internal struggle. This is going to be very triggering for feeling like this is solely an issue that is ours. Like it's kind of an isolating energy. But trust and believe that you are not alone in this. That you are definitely not the only person going through this or feeling this heaviness. It is an energy, and it is a very triggering energy. And because it's so internal, it can feel very isolating and lonely. But please know that you are not alone in this as well. So like I said, this is going to be happening for most of the month of January. This aspect ends on February 1st. So expect this month to really just to be an internal kind of reflecting month, with this being the major aspect here. All right, and now we have the lunar nodes of the moon being in the axis of Taurus and Scorpio. So Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, and it has been retrograde in Gemini for the past 8-ish months or so. So this has been, whenever retrogrades happen, they kind of bring a stalling of progress. So especially Mars, kind of like Mercury, or kind of like Capricorn, I should say, kind of about that forward progress. Having to take that step back from Mars is a little bit out of the ordinary. It's not really in the wheelhouse of something that Mars really wants to do as our as the energy of the driving force that it represents. With the South Node in Scorpio, this energy is one of, well, first of all, the South Node, or the lunar nodes of the moon, are emotional sensitivities. With the South Node being emotional sensitivities that we no longer want to feel anymore. These are things that have provided the baseboard of our emotional experience. And these lunar nodes change signs just like the planets do. So for the duration of this transit of the South Node in Scorpio and this axis that it has, it's going to be bringing up emotions that pertain to the sign of Scorpio. So it's going to be trust issues. It's going to be extreme beliefs. It's going to be excessively forceful energies. It's going to be paranoia. It's going to be, bringing up kind of the darker aspects of the Scorpio kind of personality, maybe not, or feeling like, people are going to stab you in the back, or that, that trust is hard to gain. And, if you really want to put in that effort to try and make that trust happen, or try and, help that trust happen, do you really want to put in the effort to do that? So that's kind of the emotional springboard of the South Node in Scorpio. And then on the opposite end of that, on the axis, is going to be the North Node in Taurus. And the North Node represents emotional goals that we are moving towards. That is our goal, our upward trajectory, okay? And so with this being a fixed earth sign and ruled by Venus, this is going to have to do with material things that bring us joy, material things that we cherish, that bring us emotional stability and emotional happiness, and give us a material grounding point for expressing our love of that. So it can be cinema, it can be music, it can be art, it can be design, it can be decorating, it can be just about anything that has to do with a Venusian theme of kind of earthly beauty, the natural world, things like that. So things that are emotionally satisfying are sort of earthly representation of what we cherish. This is going to be an area that we want to move emotionally towards. This is our upward trajectory. Okay. So now we have to go back here to Mercury, and we're going to look at the sextile happening to the South Node and the trine happening between Mercury and the North Node. So this sextile here is going to be an energy of harmonizing. And I know you're probably wondering, well, how can there be a harmonizing energy between Mercury retrograde and, these heavy, intense emotions of the South Node in Scorpio. Well, what this really looks like is, while this isn't necessarily a pleasant sort of emotional experience here, but we're going to have the ability to interact with that negativity in a more gentle way. So maybe these emotions that normally would feel intensely heavy and we would struggle with them, they're not going to be feeling as intense during this time. You might even be able to, you might even be, oh my gosh, you might even be able to kind of integrate something here, some sort of something nice. Even though as unpleasant as it may feel, there may be some positive integration happening here with these emotional sensitive points. And then we also have a trine. So a trine is going to be a road opener, okay? And since we have Uranus in conjunction, or, really close to the North Node here in Taurus, this very well could be an aha moment. This is a trine aspect as a road opener. So a road opener between Mercury and the North Node is a let me see if I can say this word, a synchronization of the energy of communication and the energy of our emotional high points, okay? And then with Uranus here, kind of bringing this energy of upending establishments and upending long withstanding routines and things like that. So this can kind of be a road opener, an aha moment where you think that you have been doing things a certain way, but you suddenly realize that you no longer have to do that anymore. That you've realized something that's going to completely change the way that you view this emotional high over here in Taurus, okay? So it's going to be opening that up. All right, we also have Mars stationing direct this week, so that's a good thing. So fire signs, as Mars, the ruler of Aries and Scorpio, this is going to be a little bit of a positivity coming into these signs, as well as fire signs in general, okay? But with Mercury being the ruler of Gemini, being retrograde in Capricorn, there's still that emphasis on double checking everything when it comes to my goodness, tripping over my words here. When it comes to your material necessities, definitely there is an extra emphasis on taking care that you are not overlooking anything, that everything is in order, and just really thoroughly checking in on that. Jupiter is now transiting Aries, so this is another boost for fire signs. So this is going to be an extra emphasis, an extra helpful hand here with Chiron. This might be able to lift some of that heaviness and shift it in a more positive way, so we can get that extra emphasis on healing our mindset, so we can get extra wisdom and integration and be able to make the most of this and come out on the other side of the square aspect when they do move apart finally, when they come away from that aspect, being able to put that new wisdom that we've gained, that new clarity to use to help, so that all these planets will now be out of retrograde and we could finally feel some progress. And so that's something positive to definitely look forward to. But this week, this month is going to be a bit difficult in some ways, but we do have some positive things that are happening that are going to start shifting things in a more positive way for sure. So I hope this can help give some clarity if maybe you yourself have been feeling some heaviness or some uncertainty. I know there's been a lot going on in the world right now, so it kind of probably feels a lot more like a tower moment than it does a pleasant one. But hang in there, do the best that you can, know that you're not alone, and I will see you again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.